Hi, Kayla.
Hi, Valerie.
Hey, how you doing today?
I'm all right. How are you?
Great. Well, this is awesome. We have some time to chat. Um, you started your egg freezing diary blog, which that's how I found you. So tell us a little bit about how all of this started for you.
Yeah, well, it's sort of a long story. When I was 33, I had an ovarian cyst, and I lost one of my ovaries
Oh my
due to the
goodness.
cyst.
Wow.
And yeah, and when I was in the hospital, the doctor was like, "Oh, if you ever wanted to have kids, you should probably think about that," which I thought was really insensitive. Um, but it was kind of an issue after that. I knew I had one ovary, and I think when I was around 37, 38, I'd seen an article in the New York Times about how parents were helping their older unmarried daughters with egg freezing, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Um, but I didn't really think anything more about it, and I didn't have the money to do egg freezing on my own. And then I was back in the States visiting my mom, and she's like, I saw this article, and I don't want you to get upset, but I want to talk to you about it. I was like, actually, I saw the same article, and I think that would be great. So we we came up with an agreement that I would pay for a third, and she would pay for two thirds, and that I would look into it and see whether it was possible, what the situation was. But I was like, no, that seems like a good idea. So yeah, so then I pursued egg freezing. At the time, I lived in London. So I pursued egg freezing in London when I was 38, 39, and I did 3 cycles.
Wow. Did the clinic have a program that offered multiple cycles, or is it just something that you went through three times?
No, I mean, I went through it 3 times. I think egg freezing, when I was doing it in the UK in particular, was really new. It was new in the States as well, but it was even newer here. And um, sometimes I had to argue with them about, like, when I went into another cycle and stuff, I'm like, look, I'm doing egg freezing, I'm not doing IVF. You don't have the right procedures in place for this. Um,
What year was
but
this, Kayla?
I'm trying to think. If it's 2016 now, and I'm 41, almost 42, so that would be 2012, 2013. Like, I could check on the blog. I use the blog from my memory. I'm like, what? When was that? But
Yeah, it's a
it's
great
either
history
2012,
log.
2013.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And how many eggs did you get each cycle?
So the first cycle I got 6, and then the second 4, and the third 3. Uh, so that was part of the reason I did 3 cycles, because they told me that ideally I would want 21 frozen eggs, because they felt that if you defrosted 7, one wouldn't defrost, like some of those wouldn't
It's a
fertilize, and then
numbers
some of
game.
those wouldn't progress.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like 21 was kind of my target, but I could only afford 3 cycles, so I was like, well, it's going to be what it's going to be.
that's good.
13.
13.
13.
Great.
Yeah. Or I did have 13.
Did you start using them?
Yeah.
Awesome! So tell us about that.
Yeah, so doing the egg freezing, I think, really crystallized for me how I felt about future potential parenthood, and I think you can't go through that sort of process without really being self-reflective and thinking about whether you really want to be a mother and what that might mean. And for me, I mean, I was already 38 and then 39, and I thought, I'm kind of running out of time. So, when I finished that the egg freezing, I had sort of come to a decision that if I didn't find a partner and didn't find someone I wanted to have children with, then by the time I was 41, 42, then I would look into having a child on my own, which is what I'm now doing. So I did 2 fresh IUI cycles, which didn't work, and then I did a fresh IVF, and then defrosted half, well, 6 of the eggs, because I figured that would give me a better chance of having a viable embryo. And yeah, I'm currently 9 weeks pregnant, but with the
Congratulations.
frozen egg actually.
Wow. And how many embryos were made from the six?
Um, in the end, only one,
And that's the one that implanted.
and that's the one that implanted.
Oh, what a miracle. My goodness, that's crazy odds.
I know. It was actually really interesting. I mean, not to like scare people off, but because I had 3 cycles, when I went to have them defrost, they freeze them in pairs. So I said to the embryologist, I said, look, can you take 2 from each cycle? Like, I don't
Oh,
know, just take 2 from each cycle. Let's see how it goes.
to like mix it
And
up.
he said it was really interesting because they defrosted differently in the pairs, which suggests that when they were frozen, I mean, eggs are really hard to freeze.
Hmm.
And, I mean, I went to a really good clinic and I don't have any doubts about the clinic I went to, but it suggests that it's quite sensitive. And like 2 of them didn't defrost at all. 2 of them basically didn't defrost, and then 2 did defrost, and they were in the batches from the cycles.
Wow.
So even my embryologist was like, "Oh, that's really interesting." He's like, "I'm really glad you made me do that." And I was like,
Yeah,
"Okay,
that's
those still weren't the results I was exactly hoping for." But
but that is very interesting that you told the embryologist, "Hey, can you take one from each cycle?" Because now it puts this whole new idea in play. Like, oh
yeah,
wow, whoever did the cycle the first time versus the tech that did it the second time versus how the technique was used on the third time.
yeah, exactly. And I think, obviously, if women get a lot of eggs on one cycle, and egg freezing is expensive, but I think I would probably recommend people do too, just based on my very limited personal experience, because um, yeah, I mean, it was a bit disappointing that some of them didn't defrost at all, and even the embryologist was surprised. And I was like, oh, but it's
It's a
okay
numbers
because
game. It's a numbers game. It will
it's a numbers
always
game.
be a numbers game.
Yeah, and the 2 did defrost, um, and they both initially fertilized, but then one stopped, and
Mm.
then, like I said, one's the one that
Made it to
implanted.
day, yeah, day
Yeah,
3 or day 5 for transfer.
day 6 actually.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, that's so awesome. So, as you're preparing for motherhood, how's that going? You're going to stay in the UK for the
I'm gonna
birth?
stay in the UK for now. Yeah, I've been here since 2003, so it's my home,
Home.
and certainly things like maternity coverage are a lot better. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I keep telling my dad because he's come back to the States. I'm like, but I get 6 months paid maternity leave. Like, why would I do that?
Right, right. And you're a US citizen?
Yeah, I've got dual citizenship now, but
Oh,
yeah,
that's
I was
fantastic.
born in the States. I moved here when I was 28. Yeah,
Great. Great. Fantastic. Well, we're so excited for this. Have you already thought of like baby names and
of course.
yes? Great. Well, we will have to keep following your journey as this progresses. What great news. So happy for you.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing your story and being so open. It's really
No problem at all.
encouraging. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Kayla. Talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
Valerie. Bye.
Bye.